Hey y'all, welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube channel. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. Appreciate your likes, comments, and especially your subscribing to this channel, helping me build this platform so that I get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. That is the goal. Gonna make it, gonna make it, gonna make it, I'm sure. Gonna make it, gonna make it, gonna make it, I'm sure. Anyway, so let's get into today's video, which is a Rambly reaction of episode 5 of the new HBO series entitled I May Destroy You. Now, this series is written, produced, co-directed, and starring Michaela Cole, based on a real-life experience of Michaela Cole's. I will have lots of street noise in this video, as you can see. I live on a busy block, so I'm just gonna try to speak as loudly and as clearly as I can so that you can hear me over the noise until I'm able to afford a soundproof studio. This is what we are working with, okay? Okay, so episode 5 is called It Just Came Up, ... It Just Came Up, right? And it's a really solid episode, just like all the others. One thing I want to say before I get too deeply into the episode is, in my last video when I talked about episode 4, I said that what Zane did is a violation. So let me just be clear, in case anyone is confused. What Zane did is considered rape by deception. It is rape, period. And I definitely apologize if I did not use that language in the way that I needed to in my last video. I want to make sure that I am clear, and I want to make sure to own the moments when I'm not. I think Zane is trash, and yeah, let's move forward. So, quick recap. Zane is a rapist by deception. Kwame was raped by Horny Man 808 that he met on Grindr when he went over to his house with Malik, who I referred to as baby dancer boy. And, you know, Malik didn't see the rape. Malik left before it took place. So now Kwame, in addition to Arabella being traumatized from her assault, she has been violated by this nice guy. And her best friend, one of her best friends, Kwame, has been raped, but he hasn't told anyone. So, I feel really bad for him. I cried watching his scene, and I could not watch it again, even though I watched the episode twice. I was like, I'm gonna fast forward to this part, because I just can't. It was too much. So, yeah. So that was just a quick recap. Now, we start out this episode with Arabella and Biagio, two lovebirds, kissing and cuddling and in the throes of passion. Biagio's looking at her with so much love and adoration in his eyes, and she's in ecstasy, you know, in the midst of an orgasm. And the wind is blowing, and it's a sunlit space, and it's in slow motion, and it's all very lovely. And then we see that she is actually laying in bed next to Zayn. Okay, so all that was in her mind. And we noticed that every time Biagio is thought about by Arabella, every time she's kind of dreaming about him and thinking about him, it's always this very ethereal, romantic, idyllic scene where it's like the sun is shining and there's like good food and good feelings. So she definitely has an idealist kind of view of that relationship. It seems like she's in love with him, deeply in love with him, you know, or fascinated by him, or just thinking that he's like perfect for her. You know, it's very curious, and I wonder if that feeling is mutual. Like, I wonder if he dreams about her the way she dreams about him, you know? I wonder if there's reciprocity there. So far, we haven't seen that. So, we'll see. But either way, Arabella's in bed with Zane, and an alarm goes off. She kisses him good morning, kisses him on the cheek, and they got this real coupley vibe going on, which I don't like at all. Like, automatically, I'm like, girl, what are you doing? She gets up out of the bed. She's looking fine as fuck in this beautiful burgundy two-piece panty and bra set. It's like lacy and satin and so cute. She walks over to an open area outside of the bedroom area. She grabs one of Zane's shirts and puts it on. It looks good on her. And then she puts her phone down, puts the phone camera on, and she turns over and does a back bend, right? Turns out that Arabella's participating in a yoga challenge, an Instagram yoga challenge. And it's one of those things where every day for 30 days straight, you're supposed to post a picture of yourself doing a certain pose. And then you tag the people who started the challenge and you use their hashtags. And it's like millions, thousands of people from all over the country, all over the world could be doing this challenge with you. So you kind of encourage each other and shout each other out and share each other's photos in your stories. And it's a really cool, fun way to connect with other people. I've done yoga challenges before, and I've gotten to learn a lot about yoga through that practice. I've found really great accounts to follow through that practice. So it can be a really interesting way to build a virtual community. And I noticed that the pose she did is back bend, which is a heart opening pose. And it really has to do with like opening the heart up and being completely fearless and completely vulnerable. So it was an interesting choice as far as the pose that they had her do. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I thought that was significant. Either way, she does her poses and she takes some cute photos and then she posts them on her Instagram. Yay! And she's just like feeling herself. And she should be, because she's fine and she's a survivor. And then Zayn comes over and he starts to tease her about being a computer. And I guess he's like, it's like a snide kind of criticism about her being so into her phone. And there's this thing that people sometimes do where they're teasing you about something, but there's like an undercurrent of meanness to the teasing. There's an undercurrent of condescending to the teasing, and that's how I saw Zayn's teasing. I felt like he was kind of insulting her on the low by saying, you're just gonna be like dots and lines, and where do I plug in and all this stuff. I'm like, get out of here, Zayn. Ain't nobody thinking about you. People think about being fine as fuck and about to blow up as a writer. Like, that's how I'm thinking Arabella needs to be, because Zayn is trash. So either way, he runs off to go take a shower, and she does another thing I do. I had a lot of relatable moments in this episode. She does another thing I do, which is like scrolling for podcasts. I am a podcast addict. I listen to podcasts all day and all night. I love podcasts. True crime, Black women talking, therapy, finance, budgeting, all of it. Astrology, all of it. I love it. So she starts listening to this like Ghana podcast, or it's a podcast hosted by people from Ghana. Shout out to Ghana. That's where Michaela Cole's family's from. Shout out to Ghana for giving us this Black brilliance. All right. So she starts listening to that, and she kind of like skips forward and maybe gets bored with that, or maybe listens to the whole thing and they just don't show it. Either way, she goes and starts listening to another podcast, and it's like, two Black women talking, and they talking about stealthing, which is when you're having sex with a man and he takes the condom off during sex, but doesn't tell you, and then tries to pretend like, oh, I thought you knew. You didn't feel it? Oh, my bad. And she's like, holy shit, like, this is what happened to me. She has a flashback to that moment when Zayn said that to her. Oh, it was uncomfortable, which is what the podcast host says that men say. And there's like a whole Reddit forum where they teach each other how to do it and what to say. Disgusting. And she's like out. We don't see her leave, but we know she leaves because next thing we know, Zayn comes out the shower. She's not there, and we see her walking down the street with his shirt on, still listening to the podcast, barefoot, nothing but undies on under the shirt, bare legs, walking down these London streets, listening. Like, holy shit! I think I have been played by this mother effer. So I guess at some point she realizes she's naked, half naked, and goes into this little boutique, buys herself some cute pants and some boots, and I guess socks to wear with those boots. So she comes out looking super cute, serving us really like tomboy black beauty, and she's thinking and still deep in thought, super serious look on her face. Like, I'm not sure if she's like angry or if she's like confused, but she's looking serious as F. And next thing we know, she's at the beauty parlor. She's at the beauty salon, and lo and behold, yet another gorgeous black woman for us to feast our eyes on with natural hair, with a beautiful puff. I'm like, yes to this casting. Thank you for giving us all these different expressions and looks of black womanhood in black spaces, being awesome. So she pulls off the wig, weave, she takes it off. Underneath, her hair is a mess. Like, that's just the way it is. And she, the beauty stylist asked her just a deep conditioning and rebraiding. And Michaela's like, I don't know. What do you think I should do? I've been there. It's like, oh, I'm sweating. You guys see how I'm sweating? It's so hot in my room where I'm making this video. It's like 90 degrees. Anyway, so the woman, the hairstylist says, you want to know what I think? You want to know what I think? I'll tell you what I think. So while the woman walks away, she gets a call. It's Julian, her literary agent, calling her like, hey, and she's all like dodgy and nervous because the book's not done, and she's like, I promise I'll have something soon, I'm working on it. And he's like, well, not calling about that right now. We want you to come by the office because Susie Henney, who owns Henney House, the publishing company that's publishing her book, is going to be in the office and wants to meet her. She'd like to meet you. And she's like, oh, wow, okay. And he's like, don't be late. She has a reputation for being late, for being flighty, for just not being on point. And she's like, all right, I got it. And then at the same time, Officer Fumi calls her. And she's like, hello. And you can see how the tone switches, like, between when she's talking to Julian and she's just kind of like, okay. And then when she's talking to Officer Fumi, it's like, hey there. So it turns out that they have a suspect. So Arabella goes to the jail, goes to the police precinct, and she's there with Kwame and Terry are there for support. Terry's on one side, Kwame's on the other side, Arabella's in the middle, and her head is shaved. Yes, beauty. Give it to us. Give us face. Give us face, Michaela. Give us eyes. Give us cheekbones. Give us lips. Give us flawless skin. Fuck. Oh my God. Anywho. So Officer Fumi explains to her that they have a suspect. It turns out that the guy who did this has done this to other people. They were able to gather some DNA from her sweater, and the DNA, they just need to make sure that the DNA matches his DNA. He's a serial predator, a serial sexual predator who has done this to other women, and they need to eliminate the other DNA that is involved in the case. So that would include Biagio's DNA. And Officer Fumi said something that I found quite curious. She says that Simon and DeRay are being cooperative, which I'm not sure what that means just yet. Like, were they involved or not? Either way, like, who is this suspect? You know, if it's not Simon, because she would have said so. She kept saying the suspect, and then she said Simon. So, either who, Biagio needs to be alerted because he has to go to the police precinct over in Italy to give over a DNA sample so that they could eliminate his DNA from the DNA that's been found. Turns out Michaela has not told Biagio about her assault, even though she says that they talk every day, you know, and she smiles and she's so happy when she says it. Oh, we talk every day. She hasn't told him. And Officer Fumi's like, why would you not tell him? And Terry says, he's an Italian drug lord. What the fuck, Terry? Why are you here? Why are you, like, blowing up the spot? You know? And then she's like, I'm just joking. And Arabella's looking at her like, seriously? So Arabella says, okay, she's going to tell him. And so, you know, it's a little awkward because of Terry's jokes. And it's also a little awkward because Arabella doesn't really know what to say. And they all start to get up and, like, leave the room. And Arabella's like, you know, thank you so much. And, you know, like, you guys are amazing. Like, you guys are rape busters. Like, who you gonna call? Rape busters. You know, like, she's kind of complimenting them on their work, which is valid because rapists are rarely caught out here, you know, rarely caught. So it's one of those things where I guess she's probably realizes that she's lucky and that they caught the person that did this to her. And she's like, you know, so many different types of rape out here. You know, who knew that you could get, like, raped in the mouth, for instance? And then Fumi and the other white lady officer are like, yeah, you know, and these are things that are very common. And, you know, Arabella's like, yeah, like secret condom removal. And the white woman says, yep, that's rape. And Arabella's like, you know, she kind of, you see her eyes just kind of go boop. And Kwame is there listening, thinking about what happened to him. And Terry is there, and they all leave. And Terry and Arabella are feeling good because they're like, oh, this bad guy's behind bars. Like, yeah, good, you know, he got arrested while he was being arrested. Sucks for you, you piece of shit, piece of trash. And Kwame's hanging back, looking through his phone, trying to see if what happened to him is rape. And it just really broke my heart, because when someone does something harmful to you, the first thing that you need to do is name that it was done, you know? And he's having trouble getting to that point. So Arabella remembers that she needs to run back to the office space to meet Susie Henny. Excuse me. And Terry's making fun of Kwame because she thinks he's looking through Grindr for a hookup. Meanwhile, he's trying to figure out if he's been raped. Terry annoyed me this episode. And, you know, he's like, ha ha ha. He laughs it off and they leave. Next thing we know, we're at the literary office space. And Julian, the two literary agents are there. Susie Henny is there. She's a black woman. Who knew? And her assistant, Sean, is there. A pretty little white girl with glasses and long hair, freckles, serving me librarian vibes. I liked Sean. She seemed fun. So, you know, they're talking and Susie wants to know, like, what's up with Arabella's book. It's been due, and what she's read so far is passable, but where's the rest? What's going on? In that moment, Arabella arrives, and she's like, oh, sorry. And she introduces Susie Henny, and she's like, you're black, you know? And that's always exciting. When you meet, like, a black woman in a bomb-ass position, it's like, what? So Arabella sits down and she starts talking, and Susie's like, you know, what's up with your book? What's going on? And Arabella starts to begin to tell her story, and Zayn shows up, and she sees Zayn, and she's thinking about all that she's experienced that day and that morning, all that she's learned about his shady-ass, disgusting behavior. And she's processing, and you can see her processing. And Arabella, aka Michaela, plays this so well, where she tells Susie about her rape and how she was taken advantage of, and it's just caused her some difficulty in terms of focus and writing. And she calls Zayn out in that moment in a really subliminal way, and then she kind of fixes it. And Susie Henny's like, well, write about that. You know, and Arabella's like, yes. So Sean and Zayn have a little exchange because he's like, do I know you? And she's like, yeah, you do. And they don't take it any further. And you know how he knows her. He's probably fucked her. Trash. So, anywho, Susie Henny's like, we would like for you to read some of your book at the summit, the writer summit coming up. And Arabella says, is it okay if I get a friend to read it? And Susie says, is she black? Young, like you? And Arabella says yes, and it's approved. Great. You know, and I don't know, like, I like Susie Henny's character because of what she represents, because she is a black woman in a position of power, but I also don't know if she sees Arabella as a commodity or as an actual writer who needs support in this moment. So, you know, Zayn is supposed to be helping her. I don't even think she knew that. The fact that they didn't tell her about the rape, I guess it wasn't their business to tell, but it was a little awkward moment. Anywho, so we move forward, and next thing we know, Zayn and Arabella are in his apartment and they're painting. And I'm like, why is she still hanging out with this guy? He's trash, you know? And I guess she's still processing it, and it's taking her some time to get her thoughts together. And she slips up and calls him a rapist again. And he's like, what? And you can see he's nervous. You can see he's kind of shook. And she's like, oh, it's fine. You know, I'm doing all the things that my therapist wants me to do. Yoga, painting, cuddling with people I trust. And I'm like, you don't trust him. So why are you saying that? And you know, he's like, yeah, Susie Henny's cool. And she's like, she's more than cool. She's like Obama, okay? She's Susie Henny. And she felt like she could tell her anything. which is why she told her all about what happened to her. And that's how it is sometimes. You meet someone, and because you share a common space or place in society, you automatically feel a sense of connection to them and a sense of like trust. So it makes sense to me as far as Arabella telling about her rape in that moment made perfect sense to me. Zayn acted like he didn't know about it. I don't know why he wouldn't, but yeah. Either way. So next thing we know, we are at the Writers Summit, and Michaela's looking gorgeous. Mind you, everyone has been complimenting her hair. The police officer complimented her hair. Love your hair, looks good. Susie Henney said, love your hair, looks good. Like, well, actually, not everyone. All the black women are complimenting her on her new look, which is realistic. So she's at the Writers Summit. She's looking super pretty in her signature sweater, FaceTiming Biagio, and she's trying to tell him what needs to happen as far as like him giving a DNA sample. So she's like, I went out, I had a drink, and I got spiked. And he starts to go off. Oh, I told you, you need to stop drinking. You need to stop accepting drinks. It's very dangerous. You could get yourself in trouble out there. Automatically, he's like lecturing her. And she's like, okay, I gotta go. Bye. She hangs up on him. And I don't blame her, because nobody ain't got time for your shit, Biagio. Nobody ain't got time for you snapping off. Listen, fool, I'm trying to tell you something traumatic that happened to me. God. So she goes inside. She tells Terry, I didn't tell him. And Terry's like, okay, it's fine. I don't mind us, you know, if it's just you and me, it could be our secret. I'm okay with that. No, Terry, that's not how friendship works. You need to encourage your friend to do what she got to do. You know, there's another scene that they have earlier where Terry's all gassed because she's going to be reading in front of all these people. So it's an opportunity to her to flex her acting skills, because she says she's an actress. And, you know, she's like feeling so proud of herself and so excited. And what am I going to wear? And Michaela does a crow pose, which is a powerful balancing pose. And Terry's looking at her like, are you okay? Either who, we're there, and Terry is still acting like she's gonna slay that stage, and she cannot wait to take up space and have all those people looking at her, and blah, 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 blah. And Zayn walks in with his mom. Turns out he's another young star writer whose book is coming out with Michaela's. And Sean comes over and starts talking to her, and they have this exchange where Michaela realizes that yes, Zayn is utter trash and has done things to Sean as well. So it's time for Terry to get on stage to read the excerpt from Arabella's book, and up until the very last minute, she acts like, oh, she's ready. It's all good. Let me do this. Blah, 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 blah. And then she can't do it. She's too scared. She's got stage fright. I can't do it. I can't do it, Bella. I can't do it. She backs down. After all that talk, after all that jibber jabber about you want to be an actress and you want to blow up and you want people to see you and nobody's giving you a chance, and now here's time for you to show and prove, and you don't do it, girl. Go sit down somewhere, Terry. Go sit down somewhere. You got to figure out what you really want to do with your life, because acting ain't it. Period. So Arabella's like, fine, I'll do this. So Arabella goes up to the stage, and instead of reading an excerpt from her book, she gives a testimony. She goes off. She says Zayn is a rapist. We had sex. He took the condom off during sex, and this is considered rape in the UK. It's rape adjacent in the US. It's a bit rapey in another part of the world, but either way, it's rapist behavior. And Zayn is like all embarrassed because his mom is there, and as he should be. He gets up, he leaves. Terry catches him on the way out. She catches a gif of him, which they end up turning into a meme. They turn her into a gif. They turn him into a meme on social media. Later on, when Terry, Arabella, and Sean are at the bar, they're drinking, and all three of them are looking at their phones completely enraptured because this story has gone viral. Everybody's tweeting about it. Everybody's talking about it. An article has been written about it. Terry's excited because she's gone viral with her saying, "Oh, no, you don't," and she's blown up. Arabella's blown up as a result of this moment in time, and Zayn is canceled, right? So, while all this is happening, our sweet Kwame is at the police station attempting to file a charge around what happened to him. His assault, his sexual assault, his rape. He wants to talk to a police officer and see if he can get some retribution, And the police officer that he has, Officer Tom, who this same actor was actually in Michaela's first show, Chewing Gum. Officer Tom is a complete asshole. Officer Tom gives him very little respect, gives no compassion, no empathy, no type of like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Have you been to the doctor? Have you seen a doctor? Have you been checked out?" Nothing. He is very sarcastic. He's very short with him. He's supposed to close the door. He's supposed to close the door when somebody's like sharing testimony about a crime being perpetrated against their body. He leaves the door open, so they have no privacy, and it's just fucked up, And I felt bad for Kwame in this moment, and this is something that I'm sure is based in reality for not just men, women as well, but I'm sure it's even worse for men, because at least with women, they are viewed as potential victims and possibly taken care of, possibly, catered to. It's a catering that's rooted in sexism and misogyny, but there's a little bit of pity and compassion there if a woman goes into a police station and says, "I've been sexually assaulted, I've been raped," as opposed to a man. There's probably like ridicule there. There's probably like, "What type of man are you to let this happen?" And then in addition to that, him being a gay man, you could just see the judgment in the officer's eyes, and there was no, he didn't even want to write things down. He was like, "Oh, you could have done this with the machine out there. Like, you didn't have to tell me these things. Why do I want to talk to machine when I have you, officer? Protect and serve, huh?" I was so angry at this guy because he tried to act like it was a joke. You're talking to someone who was violently harmed. It's not a joke. This video is getting too long. Let me breeze through the rest real quick. So anyway, Kwame ends up leaving. He doesn't get to file charges. He's treated horribly. And I talked about Terry backing out at the last minute, and Zayn leaving, and Kwame leaving the police station. And then the very last scene, Arabella is in bed, and she has her laptop, and she's FaceTiming with Biagio, and he is going off. He is so angry because he doesn't want to give a DNA sample to the police. And, he's a drug dealer. So him not wanting to deal with police makes sense. But the way he is dragging her and yelling at her and just being really lacking any sense of like, "Are you okay? I'm so sorry that happened to you," is in the same way that the officer Tom dealt with Kwame, it's in this, like, the last thing a person needs to hear is, oh, this is your fault, you brought this on yourself, you know, this happened to you because you let it. And that's the vibe that Biagio's getting. He's like, you know, if you wouldn't have been drinking and out there doing drugs, you would have never been raped. You know, that's what he screams at her. So she slams the computer closed after she's like, don't ever talk to me again. She slams the computer closed, and she's just like sitting there, and you can see all this emotion bubbling up inside her. And she does the same thing she did in episode 2, where she just like pulls her shirt up and she starts crying in her shirt. And there's something about that type of cry that just hits me so hard. So yeah, I felt that in my bones. And I definitely teared up, you know, and she holds those tears back. And I think she needs to really let herself cry at some point. But she holds those tears back, and she takes a couple of poppin' selfies. And then she posts the selfies on her Instagram, and all these likes come through, all these comments. And there's something around how sometimes people self-medicate with social media, and they soothe themselves with likes and comments from people within social media, where it's like you post something because you know that you're going to get a lot of attention for it, and it's a way to be seen, it's a way to feel better about who you are, and it's a way to feel like people care about you. And it's false, unfortunately. It's performative, but in that moment it does help her feel better. There's a little bubble pink heart that comes out of the phone, and it just kind of like washes her in this like halo of like love. And you know, she feels, I guess she feels okay. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. That's how it ends. So let me get to my hurts, heels, and favorite. This video is long as F. Oh my gosh. 4 hurts, 4 heels, and a favorite. I'm gonna go through these real quick. The 4 hurts. The first one is Biagio and the way he talked to her. The second is Officer Tom and the way he dealt with Kwame. The third is Terry being a complete letdown. When it was time for her to shine, she didn't do her thing the way she was supposed to. And the fourth was that type of internet moment where she's breaking down and she's crying, but she's putting on this brave face for the gram. Those were all hurtful moments. And then the 4 heels. The first heel, that shaved head, and how gorgeous and amazing she looked with it. There's something very empowering about a woman with a shaved head or a woman with short hair, because she's pushing back against the ideas around femininity and beauty. She's accepting the fact that no, I don't need long hair. I don't need a whole bunch of hair to be beautiful, to be a woman, to be feminine, to be attractive. So the fact that she got that shaved head, she was wearing it loud and proud, getting compliments from mad folks, that was a heel. A second heel is the Susie Henny character. Susie Henny, a black woman running a publishing company, being able to publish, having the power to publish young authors. Number 3, as far as the fourth heel, as far as the third heel, the rapist being caught by the police, having a suspect in custody so quickly, that's a heel. And the fourth heel is the speech she gave at the Writers' Summit. You know, that whole moment where she just let everyone know, I'm going to say this now in case I don't get to say it again. Zayn is a rapist. He had sex with me, he pulled the condom off, etc. So my favorite is connected to that fourth heel, which is my favorite moment in the entire episode, was when she dragged Zayn. Yes, him being ashamed. I believe in shaming, publicly shaming all rapists, racists, people that participate in disgusting, deplorable behavior, call them out, say their names, show their photos, show the videos of them acting inappropriately. Shame them. Shame them. So that was my favorite part, when Zayn got shamed. He deserved to be ashamed. In front of his mama too. Now maybe that will stop you from being stealthy. Anyway, this video is way too long, so I'm gonna stop it here. And if you've been here through the entire thing, thank you for watching, and please leave a comment. Let me know what hurt you in this episode, what healed you in this episode, and what was your favorite thing about this episode, and what do you think about the series so far? How do you think it's going to end? All right, thank you so much, and I will see you for the next one. Bye.